Hi, welcome to the Whitey White Guy Show. I'm Whitey, and today I'm going to be reviewing this film. This one over. Oh, over there. This is Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Came out in 1973. It's directed by Sam Peckinpah. It's got Kristofferson, Slim Pickens, James Coburn, a whole array of people, like venerable, talented actors that if you're a westerns guy, you've seen in no shortage of westerns. And as a generic film, it's fair enough. It's an entertaining western. Historically, it's very frustrating because there's certain scenes in this film that, like when Billy the Kid kills J.W. Bell and Bob Ollinger. The way that the scene is shot, it's exactly how Billy the Kid described it, or very close to. Actually, in a way, it's not because they have the whole pistol theory. But it's closer than most. And then Billy the Kid, there's a big controversy. Was he killed by Pat Garrett? Did Pat Garrett let him escape? And this film is pretty faithful to how Billy the Kid died. This scene you're looking at right here is at Stinking Springs. It's way, way off the mark to what happened. But Sam Peckinpah did this thing where he cast Kris Kristofferson. And I don't know where Kristofferson's celebrity was at the time. Was he a big box office draw? Was that necessary? Or did he want Billy the Kid and Pat Garrett, played by James Coburn? Kristofferson plays Billy the Kid. James Coburn plays Pat Garrett. And there's a theme of, they're middle-aged men, they're getting older, and the old ways just don't work anymore. And Pat Garrett's going along killing a bunch of people that used to be his buddies, as he's now sheriff and he's hunting down Billy the Kid. So times they are a-changing. The problem is the dude's name was Billy the Kid. Kris Kristofferson has got to be late 30s going into his 40s. It's like, was his name Billy the Kid or Billy the old guy? You know what I mean? So it's like, but what's interesting, if you've seen Young Guns 1 and 2, which are fantastic, you can see how John Fusco took the basic premise here of what this film is and got it closer to historically accurate without being 100% either. There's really never been an accurate depiction of Billy the Kid in all these events, even though there's no shortage of documentation. But this scene here at Stinking Springs, yeah, they got pinned down by Garrett, but all that happened was, who was it? Charlie Bowdre came out theoretically to go check on the horses, water the horses, and before anybody knew that Garrett's men were there, and they shot him and killed him. He got shot and killed. And then a few hours later, because everybody was, they ran out of firewood, they were going to die from hypothermia, they surrendered. That's all that happened, and every depiction of the Stinking Springs incident is a big shootout. The guy that got it closest would be Vincent D'Onofrio in his 2019 film The Kid, where still they lit up Charlie Bowdre. He got shot once. One guy fired one round. That was the whole event. And then everybody surrendered a few hours later. So there's a few things here that they got really close to correct, or got you kind of the essence was what happened. And then a whole lot of just writer's imagination that has nothing to do with Billy the Kid or the historical events. The actors, for the air, good for the air. The film looks fine. It's 1973. The blood doesn't sell as blood, but it was the 70s. What can you do? Their best, I guess. So can't really complain. Let me pull up the some of the cast. So James Coburn plays Pat Garrett. Kris Kristofferson plays Billy the Kid. Richard Jekyll plays Sheriff Kit McKinney. Jason Robards plays Governor Lew Wallace. Bob Dylan is in this as a guy named Alias. That's his alias. Rita Coolidge is Maria. R.G. Armstrong is Bob Ollinger. He's been in a bunch of stuff if you remember the 70s. Jack Elam with the eyes that do this. He's been in a bunch of stuff. Slim Pickens. And Charles Martin Smith plays Charlie Bowdre. And I'm watching this scene that you're seeing play out behind me, and I'm going, well, why not Charles Martin Smith for Billy the Kid? He kind of looks like Billy the Kid. He's age appropriate. Instead, it's Kristofferson, who does a fine job and all, but that's just, he was Billy the Kid, not Billy the old guy. And so there's this theme of getting older and you can't go back to the old ways. And it's just like, yeah, okay, but his name was Billy the freaking fracking Kid. What are we doing here? So, the film looks on for 73. The cast is great. I like the cast. Can't not. I mean, so many talented actors in this film. It's just, historically, it's way off the mark to anything that actually happened. And one of the frustrating things about all the various Billy the Kid movies is they always say that Billy the Kid, he got gunned down by Pat Garrett, Sheriff Pat Garrett. And in this film, it's like the day after he puts on that badge, and it's like, Billy the Kid died before Pat Garrett became sheriff. He was a U.S. Marshal at the time, and the aforementioned The Kid, directed by Vincent D'Onofrio, that was the only one I've seen that got it right. He was Marshal, U.S. Marshal Pat Garrett, not sheriff. He wasn't. He had won the election. He was sheriff-elect. He hadn't taken office yet. So maybe that's, uneducated men of the West were like, he won the election, so he's sheriff, and he's like, so maybe they referred to him as sheriff. I don't know, but he wasn't sheriff when he killed Billy the Kid, and but that went on to be this is the beginning of his political career. So when he wrote the ghostwriter guy, whatever his name was, who was in Young Guns 2, when he wrote the book years later, it referred to him as Sheriff Pat Garrett because maybe it sounded better selling the book. But that isn't what happened. He wasn't sheriff at the time. He was a U.S. Marshal working for Governor Lew Wallace at his behest. And then there's a scene like in Young Guns 2 where like they're $5,000 and $5,000 more to bring in Billy Kid, which is an enormous amount of money at the time. It's like, no, the dude ran for office, got elected. Maybe it was at the behest of the Santa Fe Ring. Maybe they bribed him to do it. But he ran for office, won straight up legit, and excuse me, after anybody else, after the interim, he took office, by which point Billy Kid had already been killed at Fort Sumner. So this film it's frustrating because it's like, there's so many things going for it, cool shootouts and stuff that it never happened. There's a bit where Jack Elam, Pat Garrett comes and recruits Jack Elam to be a deputy, I think. And then by pure happenstance, Billy the Kid and Jack Elam are at the same restaurant or diner type of thing. And they go out, do 10 steps, and Billy Kid guns down Jack Elam. And it's like, there's no account of that happening. It was just some Western trope. Some producer was like, put a scene where they do the 10 paces, put that in there and make my movie. It'd be really nice if Hollywood could keep its dick out of Billy Kid movies and get a good one. Young Guns got closest. The cast was closest. The events were closest, but still it was a music video of the events. It wasn't that, it gave you the general sense. It wasn't a documentary. But that was, what's interesting is if you've seen Young Guns 2, you can see the influence that this movie has on Young Guns, because it was John Fusco going, I like this, I like this, I like this, but let's get rid of some of this stuff that never took place and replace it with the actual facts. And so I really like Young Guns 2, because it's not a documentary, but it's just a lot closer. But you can feel the influence of this Peckinpah movie on John Fusco's work. So it makes it kind of interesting having, way back in the 80s, I saw Young Guns for the first time. I watched it 157 times. To watch this film, it's like I can see where they did it this way, and that's why it's that way in Young Guns. So it is an interesting film to watch in that context, but it's also frustrating because they took so many liberties and got so far away from what actually happened. So yeah, that's my rant/review for Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. It's not bad at all, but like I said, not historically accurate at all. Like hardly anything. They would have a scene where they would just throw a guy's name in there, out of a book, like J.W. Bell. There's one scene when they're in that Stinking Springs, and he's like, he's got Bell out there with him, and it's like, I don't even know. Bell wasn't at. I don't think Bell was at Stinking Springs. So anyway, a good but frustrating film. So if you haven't seen Sam Peckinpah's Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid from 1973. It's worth a viewing, but again, they go so off the mark, it's frustrating. So tropey. So that's it for me here at the Whitey White Guy Show. Thank you for watching the show, to the channel, the review, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I'll be getting more videos coming out. Lickety split. See you on the next one. Cheers. That was a long, protracted end of the video.